Hey guys, Andy here, and I'm here to bring you all things mundane and makeup related. If that's your vibe, I'd love it if you would subscribe to be part of my little slice of the internet. And in today's video, I just wanted to show you the plethora of palettes that I'm currently working on. I just thought that this would be an interesting video to show you all of the palettes that are from the various projects if you haven't seen them and want to just be a little nosy to all the things that I'm working on. So if that interests you, let's get on into it. So we have my 100 in a palette. This is the Jeffree Star Blood Money palette. So I just need to use this palette 100 times, whether like each dip in a shade counts as one use, and I just need to use this palette 100 times. So this is the beautiful color story, and yeah, so that is the project that this is in. It's the 100 in a palette. If you're interested in that, I will be updating that soon. Then we have the Jeffree Star Blue Blood palette, which is in my Juju Pan to my Battleship project pan, which those are not spoilers. I've already talked about those two pans. We have a miss and we have a hit, which is awesome. I didn't even think I was going to hit any pans before DW1. That's DW Dubs Beauty Diary. If you've not followed her, please go do. She's fantastic. That's who I'm doing this project with. So I'm just happy to have hit any pans at all, to be honest. And I'm actually falling back in love with this palette. So there's that, to get those two big honkin' palettes out of the way. Now this one is a caveat. This is the Morphe and Avani Gregg For the Bebs palette. Giant name, giant palette. So this is what the palette looks like. These are hydroliners, and that's what I'm working on. I'm working on this navy blue hydroliner, but I have the palette in my drawer of palettes I'm working on because it is a palette. And I have dipped into some of these eyeshadows just because it's in my palette drawer, and if I need one of these shades that's not in any of the other palettes I'm working on, then I grab for this. So it's been really nice having this in here. Then we have my Bella Beauté Bar Basic Witch palette. This is in my Panner's Bingo project pan, which I just have to no pan left behind this palette. And then I'm going to set a usage goal on one shade, which I haven't decided if I'm either going to randomize the shade or if I'm going to choose this shade, because this is my favorite shade in the palette. That's the shade Incantation. I do still have to use these 4 shades in the middle to hit no pan left behind. I've used everything else in the palette, and this is my favorite shade. These 2 oranges are fabulous. Like, the whole palette is great. I also really love this murky green, but like this shimmer, it gets me. It gets me so much. And like, this is an amazing black. I love this palette so much that it hurts. So yeah, I just haven't decided yet, and I haven't decided what my usage goal is going to be. So if you want to check out that project and help me decide what I'm doing, that would be much appreciated. Then we have what I just updated recently. Well, actually, the update for this goes up tomorrow when you're seeing this video. But I filmed it before I just filmed this. But this is in my Pan the Alphabet. And this is the Gourmand Girls and Ladybug Glow El Camino palette. And it's for the letter A, because I just started the project. And this shade, Alibi, is what is in the project. But I've actually also used this brown shade. I'll talk about it in the update you see tomorrow. That's the only other shade I've used. I want to hopefully use, not necessarily the whole palette, but I'd love to get some more use out of this palette as a whole during the project of using that shade, Alibi. Then we have which one is which? I actually have to look. I'm so sorry. Because I can't remember which one is in which project. Okay. So, and that's probably a problem in and of itself, that I can't remember which one is in which project. For Pile of Shame Project Pan, I have the Cleona and Emily Violet Marie Dragon Fruit palette, because this is a palette I've never used. That's probably how I should have remembered. This is brand new to me. And this is what it looks like. She's gorgeous, she's stunning, she's lovely. I haven't even used this yet. We be very careful with her. But yes, this is in my Pile of Shame Project Pan. Haven't even used this yet. But if you want to check out the 2 other palettes I used before that, please go check out that project. It's where I decide whether or not I am keeping palettes that I've used for the first time in my collection. And then to caveat to that, I have my Revolving Door Project Pan, which this is the NYX El Profesor palette, which looks like this. I haven't used this yet for that project, but if you want to check out, I think this is also the 3rd palette in that project. It's the 2nd or 3rd palette. But the point of this project is to figure out palettes that I've already used in my collection if I still want to keep them in my collection. So if any of these projects interest you, I highly suggest go look at my playlist and check them out. I would love if you would subscribe and do that. I'm doing a 500 subscriber giveaway when we get there. I know we're still 100 away, give or take, but still, I would love that. And then these last 2 palettes are in my Colourpan project pan. And so I have to no pan left behind. Oh, and for both of these, I have to no pan left behind them. Use all of the shades, and then there's discourse that I have to do. If you check out the project, I have to use them. I have to do 3 looks with them. Now for both of these, I have to just no pan left behind them the one time. So this is the Blow and Smoke palette, and I love this palette so much. This silver, Starstruck, is my best silver in my entire collection. So I will, until this palette either molds or that silver goes bad, I will not get rid of this palette. It will never leave. Ever. So I love this palette so much. I haven't used it yet. I just rolled it into the project, but gorgeous. We love her. And then I just got this in the Boo mystery box from ColourPop. And this is the Wild Child palette. And then it immediately rolled in to my Colourpan project pan. And I have used this matte, and this matte. And then I think I used one of the, I think I used this shimmer. But it would be in my No Pan Left Behind notebook, and I don't want to go grab that. But I know I used those 3 mattes, and they were beautiful. But like I said, I'm not done No Pan Left Behinding this. But the browns on this are gorgeous, and I have an affinity for giraffes. So I love the packaging so much, and like their giraffe spots on the back, and I'm getting more into neutrals. I've been joking a lot lately because I've just been a sucker for neutrals. I've never had neutrals in my collection because I've hated them. For the entirety of doing makeup, I have hated neutrals. But suddenly, in the last 2 months, I'm like, I need neutrals. I need neutrals. I want neutrals. I gotta have them. And I keep joking that it's because I just turned 30 2 weeks ago. So. But those are all the palettes, all the eyeshadow palettes that I'm currently working on. I am working on 2 face palettes, a highlighter palette, and a blush palette. But we could also talk about those. Here, I did say palettes. I have a palette of singles from my Eyemageddon project pan. So I have to use all of these. It's a continuation. These are also part of it, but these are big, so they don't fit. But I have to use all of these 3 times. If I don't use them at least once, they get decluttered. So we have those that I am working on. That counts as a palette. And then 4 face palettes. I got 4. I forgot about well, I didn't forget about them, but I didn't think about including them. But they are palettes. I am working on the Jeffree Star Brain Freeze palette. These are the highlights. I did remove these 2 very, very dark highlighters. It was the shade Statuesque, which was a almost bronze. It was such a dark gold. And the shade Cocky was also a gold, but it wasn't a flattering gold on me. And I was never going to use it. And I was never going to sell this, declutter this to anyone, because I got it secondhand as well. So I just took those shades out. But these 4 shades do work for me, and I love them. So I forget which project this is in per se, but it is in one of my project pans, to be wholesale honest with you. I think this one is in What Do the 2010s Say? Because I'm doing my year-long project pan where everything has like a 5-use goal. I'm doing What Do the 2010s Say, which also has like a 5-use goal. I'm doing Panopoly now, where it's a random use goal. Doing all the projects right now. So we have also the Natasha Denona Berry Pop Cheek Trio. This is in Panopoly. And specifically the shade, the cream blush here, which is not a cream. Like, I'm used to Natasha Denona's cream blushes being cream blushes. This, it says cream blush, but it's very much like a cream to powder, if you even want to say it's a cream blush. But to me, it's straight up powder blush. Like, this is creamy, a cream blush. Like, the highlighter is creamier than this blush. But it is a gorgeous cranberry shade. That has a 50-use goal on it. Wild. But we'll see if we get there. Then we have from Alamar Cosmetics, this is the Viva Las Cheekas palette in Fair to Light. And I forget which project this one's in, but it's this shade, the blush, which is La Nina Fresa. It's the Bright Pop blush. This is cream, these 2 are powder. I actually have the highlight on today, which is gorgeous. But that isn't a project. And then the actual last palette is the Alamar Cosmetics Hydrating Complexion Trio, also in Fair to Light. And that looks like this. Gorgeous pan. I frankened this shade because it was way too dark for me. And I know it still looks dark, but it actually works for me now. I'm wearing it today. I mean, I'm wearing all 3 of these today because I used a mix of these 2 shades to clean up this shade. Because it is still a little dark. It'll always be a little dark because I used the shade that was originally in there to still franken it. But it is usable now. So, which is funny because what I used to franken it with was a Sydney Grace shade. So the extra that was in here, I pressed back into that Sydney Grace pan. That was unusable. I tried to use it as an eyeshadow. Unusable, but this is usable. It works. I don't know how that pressed differently than this did, but wild. But anywho, this is the shade that I'm working on. It's Café con Leche. That was very long-winded to say all of that. I'm so sorry. But that's in here. And that is all of the palettes that I'm working on. Face palettes, eye palettes, everything. So, I hope you appreciated that for the random people who are interested in being nosy and don't want to weed through all of the projects that I'm working on. But if you're interested in going to look at those, I appreciate you. Otherwise, that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.